There's Commissioner Bonner. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner Bonner.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me
can.
now? Okay.
Hi, Randy.
Good morning. How are you, everyone?
Good morning.
Good morning, man. How, Chair?
Good morning, this is Jeremy Smith, City Council member here in Canyon Lake. Just wanted to invite you to a Zoom meeting that we're having with all the businesses.
Good morning.
What's the zip code for the trying to get gas?
92397.
92397. Invalid.
She got to go inside.
You gotta go inside the mall, unfortunately. Alrighty, love you. Bye.
Yeah, that card's not working right outside.
Lisa Mobley, just to confirm, we are live on YouTube.
We are live on YouTube.
Okay.
Marla's monitoring the broadcast. It has a delay.
Okay. All right.
Who cares about watching RCTC on YouTube? Just kidding.
enough.
Just kidding. We're enthralling, I'm sure.
I don't know. People have been home for a while.
Yeah, they need entertainment.
Is Commissioner McGee on the call?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to rename you.
Give him something fun. Give him a fun nickname.
The pressure.
Dudley or something. Is the lake open?
The lake is open.
Man. I heard it's high.
It is. And we had a bunch of people out here starting Friday, enjoying the great outdoors. It's cool.
Nice. I'm on my way. Right after this
Okay.
meeting. You need some lake time.
Just observe the rules, social distancing, cover your face, and only people from your immediate family may be in your boat.
Yes, sir.
Fishing is free until May 1st.
Love it. What are they catching?
Mostly catfish, but we do have an abundance of bass as well.
And they're hungry.
You bet they are.
So are we ready to go or still waiting for a couple of people?
We have a quorum, but I do have some people that I was expecting that aren't on the call.
We have about a minute and then it's 9:30.
Okay. So I think we're ready to call the meeting to order at 9:30. Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So let me start by reading some housekeeping remarks. For heading our founding, and it also my first meeting as chair, so bear with me a little bit here today. We'll do our best to facilitate a smooth meeting with public participation. We ask that everyone be patient as we navigate this together for the first time. We have two formats for participation: the Zoom web application as well as teleconference. Before you should pay close attention. Please silence your other communication devices such as your cell or your desk phone. This will ensure that we're not hearing any feedback or causing interruption during the meeting. During the meeting, all participants on Zoom, except for commissioners and RCTC staff, will be placed on mute or agenda item. I will announce public comment. Zoom video instructions. For those on Zoom, if you'd like to make a public comment on the Zoom screen, please click on the participants button on the bottom of your screen. A list of participants will appear on the right side of the screen. At the bottom of the list, please click on the gray raise your hand button. This will signal to the host that you'd like to provide public comment and you'll be added to the list. If you're using your smartphone, a new screen will pop up with the list of participants. Look for the raise the hand button on the screen. For those calling in using the phone line only, you can dial *9 on your keypad to signal that you would like to comment. Your name will be called when it is your turn to comment, and the host will unmute your line automatically. Please note you can hang up and or leave the Zoom meeting at any time. We don't typically say, never mind. So why don't we start with a roll call?
Thank you, Chair. District 2?
I'm here.
Thank you. District 3?
Here.
City of Beaumont? Beaumont?
Here.
Calamasa?
Here.
Canyon Lake?
Yes.
Cathedral City?
Here.
Coachella? Desert Hot Springs? Hemet?
Here.
Lake Elsinore?
Here.
Palm Springs?
Present.
Riverside?
Here.
And Wildemar. We do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Are there any public comments for items not on the agenda?
It doesn't look like we have any members of the public on the call. I
Okay,
don't see anyone raising their hand.
okay, so
Lisa
we'll move
Reese is on the
to-
call. There-
Oh, thank you. Would you like to make a public comment, Lisa Reese?
No, thank you. But I just wanted to declare that there is somebody from the public on the call. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we demand a public comment from her? If she's on the call, she's got a comment.
Okay, any additions or revisions?
No, sir.
Okay. And we'll move on to the consent calendar. If any commissioners or members of the public would like to poll or comment on any item on the consent calendar. If not, then I will ask for a motion.
I move, Randy Bonner.
Second.
Calamasa second.
Thank you. I'll do a roll call vote. I will call everyone just in case anyone has jumped in the call. District 2?
Yes.
District 3? District 3?
Yes, District 3 is yes.
Beaumont?
Yes.
Calamasa?
Yes.
Yes.
Larry,
Canyon
you
Lake?
unmute?
Canyon Lake?
Yes.
Cathedral City?
Yes.
Coachella? Hemet?
Yes.
Lake Elsinore?
Aye.
Palm Springs?
Aye.
Riverside?
Yes.
And Wildemar. Thank you. The motion passes.
Okay, and item 6, we have a staff report from Teresa Trevino.
Good morning, commissioners. I have a PowerPoint, and thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Good morning, commissioners again. At the January meeting, the commission approved the revised revenue projections for the fiscal year 2020 and revenue projections for fiscal 21 to be used for budget development. The revenue projections related to RCTC's two sales tax sources, that is Measure A and Local Transportation Fund, or LTF, and RCTC's share of Transportation Uniform Mitigation Fee, or TUMF revenues. Since that approval, the COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in local, state, and national emergency declarations. Next slide. COVID-19 and the related stay-at-home orders have negatively impacted the economy. This is truly an unprecedented event, and it's difficult to predict the magnitude and duration of the economic impacts. However, it's our responsibility to revise the January estimates in order to complete preparation of a more realistic fiscal year 2021 budget. In the next slides, I'll provide an overview of revised revenue projections for the three revenue sources. Next slide. Through our sales tax consultant, we obtained data on Measure A sales tax revenues through the most recent year available, that is through the third quarter of 2019, by economic category. The Q3 2019 sales tax report is a consent item that you just approved on this agenda. There are 6 economic categories. Within each category are economic segments for a total of 32 segments. Based on the information at the time, we analyzed each segment and estimated the percentage impact of COVID-19. The estimates ranged from no change to 100% reduction. Let me give you a few examples. Food markets represents about 29% of the sales tax revenues in the food products category. We estimated no change in this segment. Apparel stores is about 17% of the general retail category. We assigned a 75% reduction to this segment. In the transportation category, we assigned 100% reduction to auto sales new, which represents 44% of this category. The process then produced a 1-month impact estimate, which was a $6.4 million decrease using the Q3 2019 data. This decrease was then offset by the anticipated benefits from implementation of the Wayfair or internet sales tax as estimated by the sales tax consultant. The monthly benefit of $400,000 resulted in a 1-month net decrease of approximately $6 million. We then used this 1-month decrease to project an adjustment to Measure A revenues over a 12-month period, the last 4 months of 2020 and the first 8 months of 2021. This resulted in a $24 million decrease in the fiscal year 2020 projection and a $47 million decrease in the fiscal year 2021 projection. On the next slide, I'll show you a graphic to illustrate the results of this process. Next slide. In this chart, we show the monthly revenue before and after COVID-19 by the 6 economic categories noted in the previous slide. The blue bars represent the 1-month average of Measure A per the Q3 2019 benchmark year data. The yellow bars represent our projection of the 1-month average after the analysis of COVID-19 impacts for each segment in each category. The process resulted in a reduction of revenues in all categories. The most significant reductions were in transportation, construction, business to business, and general retail. On the next slide is a summary of the change in our revenue projections. This chart summarizes the results of the revised Measure A projections. For fiscal year 2020, the revised revenue projection of $178 million reflects the $24 million or 12% decrease. For fiscal year 2021, the revised revenue projection of $160 million reflects the $47 million or 22% decrease. Next slide. Since LTF revenues are a $0.25 of the state sales tax, we use the Measure A results in our projection. LTF represents about 51% of Measure A revenues. So the 1 month net impact is projected to be a $3.1 million decrease for the last 4 months of fiscal year 2020 and the first 8 months of fiscal year 2021. This results in a $12 million decrease for fiscal year 2020 and $24 million decrease in fiscal year 2021 to revised revenue projections of $91 million in fiscal year 2020 and $82 million in fiscal year 2021. Next slide. TUMF revenues are RCTC share of the developer fee program administered by WRCOG. We reviewed revenues through December and determined that they were about 14% lower than the same period in fiscal year 2019. Those revenues averaged about $2 million per month. Our assumptions for TUMF were similar to the process for sales tax, with the impacts beginning in March for a 12-month period. We projected that the impacts in the last 4 months of fiscal year 2020 would be 10% of the average monthly revenue and about 20% for the first 8 months of fiscal year 2021. Based on this process, we conservatively project that the TUMF revenues for fiscal year 2020 will be $16 million, and for fiscal year 2021, $11 million. These are significant decreases compared to the January projections as shown in the chart. Next slide. When we developed our revised projections, it was as of a specific point in time based on the information at that time. Since then, the governor has issued 2 executive orders related to the deferral of sales tax payments by sellers. These orders will have an impact on RCTC's receipt of sales tax revenues. Additionally, soon we'll begin to receive actual data on the impacts of COVID-19 related to spending in the economic categories noted earlier. As the stay-at-home orders are lifted, hopefully we'll gradually get a better sense of how long it will take for the economy to return to normal, or whatever the new normal will be. The point here is that there are many uncertainties, and there will likely be differences between these projections and the actual results. But we need to present a budget for the new fiscal year that anticipates some reductions in revenues. We are still working on the budget and will present it at the June meeting for the public hearing and adoption. We will continue to monitor the revenues as we end this fiscal year and begin the next fiscal year. It is possible that we will need to come to the board throughout fiscal year 2021 for subsequent budget adjustments as the economic impacts of the virus are better known. Next slide. Let me summarize the staff recommendations for you. The first recommendation is to approve the revised fiscal year 2020 projections for Measure A, LTF, and TUMF. The second recommendation is to approve the revised fiscal year 2021 projections. Recommendations 3, 4, and 5 relate to approval of fiscal year 2020 budget adjustments related to the decreased revenues and the impacts on certain Measure A and LTF expenditures. The final recommendation is to forward this item to the commission for final action at the May meeting. Next slide. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions or comments.
Are there any commissioners who have questions? Or would like to comment?
Question. First of all, Teresa's got to tell us about her background. I gotta know what's going on.
Lisa, is it true? It doesn't look like anyone?
I believe Commissioner Bailey was making a comment.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Pardon me?
You got to tell us about your background. You can't put that up and then not tell us what's going on there.
That's the Blue Lagoon in Reykjavik, Iceland. I was there at the end of February.
Well done. Well done. I bet you wish you stayed.
Sort of.
Question, the TUMF revenues are not jiving in my brain from what I've, at least in the city of Riverside, our numbers are the same, if not up, in terms of development process. Is that verified in terms of the TUMF dollars Is that just projection? What are we projecting that on? Have we gotten feedback from all the cities or?
No, the information is based on the receipts that we had received for revenues through December. So we only had 6 months of actual data, and we compared that to fiscal year 2019, and that was about 14% lower than the same period last year. So not having any other information available, we use that to make the projection and use the same 12-month period. So things may change because construction does continue, but as far as the impact on TUMF developer transactions, we don't have the information on that. So we made a conservative estimate based on what we did know.
Okay, thank you. I'll move approval.
I second.
I did see
I
that.
have a question.
Okay.
This is Karen Spiegel. When we're doing this, Teresa, we're just doing numbers. At what point are we going to start looking at what we're cutting and what we're going to have to start reducing with the less loss of income and how that process is going to work?
Thank you for that question. At this point for fiscal year 2020, we think we'll be okay based on the reserves that we've had in place. The reason why we're not bringing a first draft of the budget this year is because we're still assessing the impacts of especially the fiscal year 2021 cuts or decreases to the projects that we had anticipated moving forward and programs. So we're still analyzing that information, and we'll have that ready for the June meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And can I add a few other comments here as well? The single biggest hits we've seen so far have been transit related. So the impacts to all 7 of our bus transit operators and Metrolink. That's where the most immediate and most significant financial consequences have been seen. The CARES Act that the federal government passed the act, and it's providing a significant amount of money. So for our most immediate situation, we will have federal resources that will backfill some of those transit losses so that it buys us some time to be able to assess the full impact of this, not only on the transit providers and their service, but also RCTC overall. So the most immediate situation has been addressed. Also, from an RCTC standpoint, since the majority of our money is invested in programs and services, it's a matter of identifying if there are projects or programs that need to be deferred. We'll have to analyze that. But also, let me give you some other examples where we're still identifying some of the consequences. We have a robust van pool program. That van pool program has been for the most part reduced. Many of the van pools have been suspended. They've got limited riders. The question will be, what does van pool look like when everyone returns to work? So there are a lot of questions that we frankly won't be able to answer until we have more definitive information about the actual consequences. So with these revised projections here today, additional information coming in over the next month, we'll be able to have a budget for next year. And I should point out, commissioners, you could adopt a budget in June, and we could have additional information coming in June, July, and August that would cause us to bring back revised projections again. The other thing that's uncertain is that there have been waivers granted to certain businesses of certain sizes, and they're being allowed to defer their payment of sales tax. We do not know what that impact is going to be. So there are a lot of unknowns, but we've been very methodical about making estimates at this point. The projects that were scheduled to go out, be awarded this spring, to go out to construction this spring are still going. Those funding sources are secure. I think we'll start seeing over the next 6 months what the true consequences will be. One more thing to also share. We have not received any information from the state yet as to what their revised budget or fund estimates will be for transportation. Gas tax is down approximately 40%. Caltrans and the California Transportation Commission are looking at updating their fund estimates. We will likely receive information at the state level about whether or not existing state programs will be seeing some unprogramming or defunding of projects. So there are a lot of potential consequences in front of us. And as of right now, we've got the best projections we can have. Projects scheduled to go out this spring are going. We're going to have to see what this looks like when everyone gets back to work in some fashion or another, and we see the depth of this economic impact.
Okay. Is there any other comments by commissioners or questions? Seeing none, how about, are there any members of the public wishing to speak on this item? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I believe we had a motion and a second from Commissioner Bailey and Commissioner Bonner.
All right, we'll have roll call.
Perfect. District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
Beaumont,
Yes.
Calamasa,
Yes.
Canyon Lake,
Aye.
Cathedral City,
Yes.
Coachella, Hemet,
Yes.
Lake Elsinore,
Aye.
Palm Springs,
Aye.
Riverside,
Yes.
and Wildemar. That motion passes.
All right, we'll move on to item 7 with a report from David Knudsen.
Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, Chair. This report will focus on the legislative actions taken in response to the COVID-19 public health crisis. I'll start with the state update. The California State Legislature went into recess on March 16th after approving the $1 billion in new funding in response to the governor's March 4th COVID-19 state of emergency declaration. While discussions continue about the potential for additional legislative responses and economic stimulus measures when the legislature returns, one thing is certain: the legislature and the governor must meet the constitutionally required deadline of June 15th to pass and sign a state budget. The budget will likely look very different than the $220 billion proposal the governor laid out in January, and the normal schedule for state budgeting is currently on hold. That's because state and federal tax deadlines have been postponed until July 15th. So the state won't have a clear picture of its revenues until later this summer. The legislature will likely adopt a budget that simply continues the current budget spending levels. After it's passed in June, the legislature will revisit the budget likely in August. Members have been notified that bills with budget requests should only be related to coronavirus pandemic. And while some oversight hearings related to COVID-19 spending are taking place in Sacramento, the legislature is expected to stay in recess until at least May 4th. It's unclear at this time what will happen to existing bills unrelated to COVID-19 response and recovery. RCTC staff is engaged with our state legislative delegation on COVID-19 impacts. We've had direct meetings with Senator Roth, Assemblymember Cervantes, Assemblymember Medina. From reports we're getting directly from legislative staff, state funding resources are going to be extremely limited and will likely go for emergency and health-related items. As of now, it's unlikely the state will have the resources to fund a stimulus program that directly pays for infrastructure projects or backfills lost revenue. RCTC staff will continue to engage with our elected delegation, and we will continue to monitor and provide an update to the commission on legislation that will impact RCTC. Now, very quickly turning over to the federal side, as you know, there's been 3 COVID-19 federal relief packages, including the $2 trillion CARES Act. As Ann just mentioned, that provided $25 billion in emergency funding for public transportation. We anticipate Riverside County could receive as much as $121 million. RCTC staff is actively engaged in discussions with congressional offices and committee staff on COVID-19 relief proposals related to the transportation sector. We've sent letters, which are also included in your staff report, to start the discussion highlighting direct aid assistance, economic recovery funding, surface transportation reauthorization. In particular, we've proposed modifications to the TIFIA loan program related to our 2 TIFIA loans for the 91 project and the 15 Express Lane project. One proposal that we're working on is the idea of resetting the TIFIA loan interest rate. This would allow a borrower to adjust the rate on a TIFIA loan to today's lower rate. This is similar to refinancing a home mortgage. The refinance debt results in a new lower repayment schedule. We're reaching out to other TIFIA loan borrowers across the nation, asking them to join in this effort, as well as educating congressional staff on the merits of this kind of non-direct financial aid. Congress is currently scheduled to reconvene on May 4th, 2020, but this schedule could also change. In conclusion, legislative activities are changing day by day, and many questions still remain. How will a federal phase 4 relief plan take shape, and will infrastructure investment be part of it? Will reauthorization of the FAST Act take place before it expires at the end of September 2020? How will the state deal with its budget situation, and will state funds that we've been counting on be available? RCTC staff will continue to be part of the process and bring back updates as they become available. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Do we have any questions or comments by commissioners? And are there any members of the public who speak on this item? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Receive and file.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that, Karen Spiegel.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Can we have a roll call, please?
District 2,
Yes.
District 3, District 3?
Yes, sorry, had to go to the bathroom.
That's okay. Beaumont,
Yes.
Calamasa,
Yes.
Canyon Lake,
Aye.
Cathedral City,
Yes.
Coachella, Hemet,
Yes.
Lake Elsinore,
Aye.
Palm Springs,
Aye.
Riverside,
Yes.
and Wildemar. The motion passes.
All right, item number 8. We have a report from Ariel Tapia.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
A little
Yes.
quiet.
I'm gonna put my microphone on.
Hello, good morning. I think I have a PowerPoint. Is it up?
I didn't have a PowerPoint from you. I apologize, Ariel.
Okay, it's okay. Okay, good morning, Chair and members of the committee. Agenda item 8 is to seek committee approval for the appointment of 15 members to the Citizens and Specialized Transit Advisory Council, or CSTAC. The group has important responsibilities for the commission, including reviewing the transit operator SRTPs, participates in the annual need public hearing, and provides valuable feedback on the coordinated transit plan, which is updated every 4 years. This past December, the commission approved the revised CSTAC bylaws and directed staff to initiate recruitment for new members. As part of this direction, the Citizens Advisory Committee was renamed to the CSTAC. On January 23rd, 2020, staff opened recruitment by posting the CSTAC application online. The original deadline was February 28th, but was extended to March 13th to allow extended outreach and noticing. Noticing and outreach tactics included reaching out to commissioners for member referrals from their regions and cities. Staff also reached out to previous CAC members. Online, the CSTAC application link was predominantly featured on the RCTC homepage. And announcements of the application availability was posted on the RCTC blog, The Point, a press release. On social media, posts were put on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Emails were sent to transit operators, specialized transit providers, as well as social services providers throughout the county. At the request of the commission, outreach was conducted to universities and college transportation and student disabilities service department. The proposed appointments represent all the geographic locations of the county. We are confident that the members have experience, knowledge, and qualifications to engage in meaningful transportation discussions, specifically to specialized transit. Furthermore, the recruitment process has resulted in appointment of a full council. That is the conclusion of my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ariel. Do we have any questions or comments by commissioners? Okay, how about members of the public wishing to speak on this item? Then I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve, Hammett.
Second, Cathedral City.
So we have a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call, please?
District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
Beaumont?
Yes.
Calamasa?
Yes.
Canyon Lake?
Yes.
Cathedral City?
Yes.
Coachella? Hemet?
Yes.
Lake Elsinore?
Aye.
Palm Springs?
Aye.
Riverside?
Yes.
And Wildemar. That item passes.
Okay, we had no items pulled from consent, so we'll move on to item 10, which is commissioners and staff report. Let's start with commissioners. Are any commissioners like to make a report? Well, you guys are making this easy on me. Oh wait, Larry? No?
Nope, sorry.
All right, and how about any members of staff to report?
No report, thank you.
Okay. Wow, that was easy. So we'll go to adjournment. The next budget implementation committee is scheduled to be held 9:30 Monday, June 22nd. Says board chambers. Hopefully that's true. It's more likely going to be a video Zoom meeting. But so this meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Lloyd.
Thank you, everyone.
Good seeing you all.
You too.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, thanks, Anne. Have a good day. Have a good week.
Yep, you too. Bye-bye. There we go. All right, thanks.
We didn't have a PowerPoint from Ariel. He never responded to our emails.
Okay.
It's off.